The story begins with some CCTV footage showing a building at night. After a while, a man named George steps out of his car and enters the building. This place is a morgue, and George has come here for his first night duty as a security guard. A female employee gives him a tour of the entire building and explains everything to him. After that, she takes George to a room where dead bodies are stored. She tells him that if any new body arrives during the night, he will have to open the main gate and bring the body on a trolley to this room. During the conversation, the woman asks him, "Are you scared?" George replies, "No, I'm not that easy to scare." However, the woman warns him that many strange things have been seen in this room. She tells him that once she herself saw a dead body suddenly sit up. She also mentions that the previous guard ran away on his very first night. In the end, the woman writes her phone number on a piece of paper, gives it to George, and leaves. A few hours later, George falls asleep on his chair. Suddenly, the doorbell rings, and he wakes up. When he goes to the gate, there is no person, only a body bag lying there. George places the body on a trolley and takes it to the room using the elevator. But as soon as he reaches there, the body suddenly comes to life and sits upright. George is terrified, but still gathers the courage to check the body and opens the zipper of the body bag. Inside is the body of a young girl who suddenly opens her eyes and sits up. Now George completely loses his senses. He immediately runs to his cabin and calls the woman, telling her everything, but she thinks he is joking. Just then, George looks at the video feed, where he sees that the dead girl is crawling in a horrifying manner toward his cabin. Within seconds, the girl reaches right in front of him, and George screams loudly in fear. At the same time, it is revealed that none of this is real. It is all a prank being recorded with the help of cameras. The woman's name is Emma, and the mastermind behind the entire plan is a man named Marcus, with his partner Dick. The scary girl is actually an actress named Ayaka, who has been paid for this job. All of them are sitting in the control room, making fun of George and enjoying his fear. But suddenly, the color drains from their faces when they see that George has taken out a real gun in panic. Emma immediately tries to warn Ayaka through the microphone, but Ayaka's headphones are turned off. Left with no choice, Emma runs toward the scene herself to prevent any bloodshed. Meanwhile, Ayaka continues her acting and screams in front of George. Just as George is about to fire the gun, Emma reaches there and stops him, telling him that everything was just part of a show. At the same time, the rest of the team arrives, and everyone starts laughing because George has wet his pants out of fear. Emma explains that all of this was being done for a famous TV show called Scare Campaign, but George is angry about this prank. Then a new girl named Abby enters the story. She has come to give an interview to work on the show. Marcus is impressed by her acting and immediately hires her. During this time, Emma angrily says that she is quitting the job. She says that their pranks are becoming too dangerous and that one day a major accident could happen. However, Marcus emotionally convinces her to stay until the end of the season. The meeting begins, and Marcus reveals that the next prank will take place in an old abandoned mental asylum that has been closed for years. At that moment, their boss Vicky opens a dark website called Masked Freaks on the computer. A video plays in which some masked people brutally murder people. The entire team thinks it is fake, but Vicky tells them that it is completely real, and people on the internet are paying millions of dollars to watch such content. Vicky angrily says that the ratings of their show Scare Campaign are falling, and people now want to watch content that is far more dangerous and extreme. She gives the team a final warning. If the next episode is not a super hit, the show will be shut down forever. Now the entire team is under pressure because they must do something huge and terrifying to save their show. In the next scene, we arrive at the old and abandoned mental asylum, where the team has already set up all their cameras and equipment. Many cameras are installed in different rooms so that every inch of the drama can be recorded. The new girl, Abby, is being given scary ghost makeup. Emma is still very worried about this prank and asks Marcus many questions about the new victim. But Marcus assures her that everything is under control and that there is nothing to worry about. After some time, their new target Rohan arrives at the abandoned mental asylum. Dick spots him on the cameras and alerts the entire team to take their positions. And with this, a new episode of their show begins. Emma, who is playing the main role this time, goes to him in the garden wearing a nurse's outfit. Rohan carefully looks around the garden and mentions that he used to work here before. In a slightly nervous voice, Emma tells him that within a few months they are planning to open a children's treatment center there, which is why they need a groundskeeper. During the conversation, Rohan notices the ghostly girl Abby standing near a window. At the same moment, Susie, dressed as a gardener, distracts him, and when Rohan looks back toward the window, no one is there. Surprised, he asks Emma whether that girl is one of their patients. But Emma tells him that they haven't admitted any patients yet. She takes him to her office for the interview and pretends to open a letter on the table using a letter opener. Here, Rohan says that he knows every corner of this place and claims that this asylum used to be his home. Looking at a picture hanging on the wall, he starts talking to himself. When Emma asks him what he is doing, he angrily shouts at her and says, "Mind your own business." At that moment, the phone rings, and Marcus tells Emma that Rohan is a very unusual kind of man. But if they manage to make this episode successful, it will be a huge win for them. Emma tells him to stop all of this, but Marcus suddenly hangs up the call. Furious, Emma storms out and leaves Rohan alone in the room. Now Marcus starts the next part of the prank. He and Dick open a door and play terrifying sounds of a little girl crying, which makes Rohan come out of the room. He begins following those sounds. On the other side, Susie receives the signal and throws a ball to divert Rohan's attention toward Abby. Surprisingly, Rohan does not get scared at all. Instead, he starts following her. Marcus and his team watch their every move through the cameras. After a while, Rohan reaches an extremely frightening room upstairs, where cameraman Tony is hiding behind a rack. At this moment, Emma is also watching everything on the computer screen. Now Marcus begins the final part, where Abby is supposed to confront the man. But the moment Marcus gives the green light, Emma notices that the sharp letter opener is missing from her office desk. She realizes that something is terribly wrong and tries to stop the prank, but by now it is already too late. As soon as Rohan sees the ghostly girl, he pulls out his weapon and stabs her body again and again. Seeing this horrific scene, the entire team is shocked, and they try to stop Rohan by shouting through the intercom, but he listens to no one. Instead, his gaze falls on cameraman Tony, and he slowly moves toward him, then mercilessly strangles him to death. Emma can't stand it anymore. She runs toward the room to save her friends, holding a screwdriver in her hand. But when she arrives, she sees Tony's lifeless body hanging, and Abby has been thrown out the window. Marcus tells her over the intercom that the man is extremely dangerous and instructs her to run immediately. Since cameras are installed all around the place, Marcus notices that Rohan is now moving toward Emma, and then he starts chasing her. Emma repeatedly asks about Rohan, and Marcus finally tells her the truth. He is an old patient of this asylum and has committed some very gruesome murders before. Hearing this, Emma angrily scolds Marcus and moves forward to save her own life. After a while, she reaches a very dark room. When she looks toward the camera and asks for directions, Marcus says that there is no camera there, so he cannot see her. Terrified, Emma runs upstairs, where she finds her teammate Susie. Susie lets her enter the room, but before Emma can explain everything, Rohan breaks down the door and mercilessly kills Susie in front of everyone. Emma immediately flees from there. A little later, Rohan corners her near a closed door and is about to strike her when, fortunately, JD opens the door and pulls her inside, saving her life. They close the door and hide, waiting for the killer to leave. Then they contact Marcus and Dick, who are sitting in the control room. Emma tells them to call the police immediately, but suddenly the killer breaks into the control room and starts killing everyone one by one. Emma and JD watch everything on the cameras but cannot do anything. They decide to escape from there. They run toward the team's van, but JD doesn't have the keys, so he leaves Emma alone in the van and runs back to the control room to get the spare keys. Emma immediately closes the van windows and waits anxiously for her friend, but Rohan is already sitting in the back seat of the van. She gathers her courage and, using the screwdriver, stabs him forcefully in the hand and runs outside. Then the story takes a major twist. Rohan screams in pain, and it is revealed that he is not a real killer, but an actor, and all the team members are alive. In fact, this was all a huge prank, and poor Emma was the target. Rohan angrily yells at Marcus, saying he has been hurt badly and is quitting the act. He tries to remove the screwdriver from his hand. But at that moment, two masked men appear with cameras and surround Rohan. Rohan thinks this is also part of the show, but the men mercilessly attack him. Meanwhile, Marcus doesn't realize what is happening. He tells his team over the intercom to stay in their positions until he talks to Rohan and resolves the situation. Tony is hiding on the lower floor, trying to stay away from Emma so the prank isn't ruined, but Susie's whereabouts are unknown. Meanwhile, when Dick is alone in the control room, he notices some malfunction on the monitors. Meanwhile, Emma reaches a room where she finds a laptop playing Dick's live video feed. As soon as Dick sees her, he immediately turns off his camera, realizing that his theft has been discovered. But in the very next moment, Dick finds himself surrounded by several masked figures who grab him, strangle him, and kill him. Suspicious and confused, Emma starts searching the laptop and finds several videos that convince her that everything that has happened so far was just a nasty prank meant to scare her. Angrily, she shouts at Marcus in front of the camera, "If you have guts, come forward," but there is no response. In reality, Marcus's camera is no longer working, and the cameras that are now live belong to the real masked killers. Finally, when Marcus reaches the van to talk to Rohan, he is shocked to see Rohan dead. He tries to make a phone call for help, but there is no signal, and Dick does not answer either. Then he notices the masked killers slowly approaching him. Seeing them, he recognizes them as the same masked freaks whose videos he had seen on the website. He realizes that everyone's lives are now in danger, so he runs away, and on the way, he encounters Emma, who, without thinking, punches him forcefully in the face out of anger. Marcus tries to explain to her that Rohan is actually dead, and that this time they are truly in danger, but Emma thinks it is another part of the prank and refuses to believe him. Suddenly, the masked figures arrive, and Emma starts fighting one of them, thinking it is all an act. But when the masked figure picks her up and slams her to the ground, Emma realizes that this is no joke, but the real killers. The masked figures surround both Marcus and Emma, and are about to kill them when their leader receives a message, and they all step back. After the killers leave, Emma decides to rescue the other girl, Abby, and sets out with Marcus to find her. But when they reach the place where JD and Abby were hiding, they find JD's dead body. A camera is attached to his body, which Marcus turns on to see how the killers murdered JD and forcibly took Abby with them. The leader of the killers speaks on the mic to Marcus and Emma, saying that if they want to see the girl alive, they must come to the control room immediately. They have no other way, so they go there. On the way, Emma picks up a sharp weapon to defend herself. Upon reaching the control room, Emma sees blood flowing from Marcus's head, but she soon realizes that the blood is not his, but Susie's, whose body is hanging from the ceiling. At that moment, they see on the screen that the masked people are cutting Tony into 2 pieces with a saw. Both of them tremble in horror at the sight. Then the leader of the masked killers appears and explains that they are doing all of this to please their internet subscribers. He says that now they hunt down people who play pranks on others, because this is what viewers enjoy watching the most. He then shows a video of Abby being buried alive in a coffin underground. He says she has only 5 minutes, and if she is not rescued, she will suffocate to death. Emma and Marcus run like madmen toward the place. On the way, a killer attacks them, and Emma kills him with her weapon. They finally reach the place where Abby was buried and rescue her at the very last moment, saving her life. But as they try to leave, the masked killers surround them again. However, their viewers demand that Emma be kept alive, so the leader gives her a choice. She can save only one of her 2 friends. Marcus tells Emma to save Abby. Emma, crying, takes Abby and runs away, getting into the team's van and escaping, while Marcus is knocked unconscious by the masked killers. At the end of the film, Marcus wakes up in a room and sees the bodies of his remaining friends. Then, they show him a video that blows his mind. In the video, it is revealed that Abby was actually working with the masked killers. She was their spy, who had informed them of Marcus and the team's entire plan. Marcus is left stunned and shocked. After this, the killers take Marcus to burn him alive. Meanwhile, in the dark, while driving the van, Emma's eyes fall on a camera installed in the van, showing that this horrific game is far from over. And this is where the story ends.